Chapter 11. All night, as I sit through dinner, I am conscious of the secret I hold. It makes me feel, for the first time, as though I have a power of my own, a power Madoc cannot take from me. Even thinking of it for too long, I am a spy, I am Prince Dane's spy, gives me a thrill. With little birds stuffed with barley and wild rams, their skins crackling with fat and honey. Oriana delicately picks her hairs apart. Oak chews on the skin. Madoc does not bother to separate off the flesh, eating bones and all. I poke at the stewed parsnips. Although Tarin is at the table, Bibi has not returned. I suspect that hunting with Rhea was a ruse and that she has gone to the mortal world after a brief ride through the woods. I wonder if she ate her dinner with Heather's family. You did well at the tournament, Madoc says between bites. I do not point out that he left the grounds. He couldn't have been too impressed. I am not even sure how much he actually saw. Does that mean you've changed your mind? Something in my voice makes him stop chewing and regard me with narrowed eyes. About knighthood? He asks. No. Once there is a new hiking in place, we will discuss your future. My mouth curves into a secretive smile. As you wish. Down the table, Tarin watches Oriana and tries to copy her movements with the little bird. She does not look my way, even when she asks me to pass her a carafe of water. She can't keep me from following her to her room when we're done, though. Look, I say on the stairs. I tried to do what you wanted, but I couldn't, and I don't want you to hate me for it. It's my life. She turns around. Your life to squander? Yes, I say as we come to the landing. I cannot tell her about Prince Dane, but even if I could, I am not sure it would help. I am not at all sure she'd approve of that either. Our lives are the only real thing we have, our only coin. We get to buy what we want with them. Talin rolls her eyes, her voice is acid. Isn't that pretty? Did you make it up yourself? What is the matter with you? I demand. She shakes her head. Nothing, nothing. Maybe it would be better if I thought the way that you do. Never mind, youth. You really were good out there. Thanks, I say, frowning in confusion. I wonder again over Cardan's words about her, but I do not want to repeat them and make her feel bad. So, have you fallen in love yet? I ask. All my question gets me in is a strange look. I am staying home from the lecture tomorrow, Tarin says. I guess it is your life to squander, but I don't have to watch. My feet feel like lead as I make my way to the palace, over ground strewn with windfall apples, their golden scent blowing in the air. I am wearing a long black dress with gold cuffs and a lacing of green braid, a comfortable favorite. Afternoon birdsongs thrills above me, making me smile. I let myself have a brief fantasy of Prince Dane's coronation, of me dancing with a grinning log while Cardan is dragged away and thrown in a dark oubliette. A flash of white startles me from my thoughts. It's a stag, a white stag, standing not 10 feet from where I am. His antlers are threaded with a few thin cobwebs, and his coat is a white so bright that it seems silver in the afternoon light. We regard each other for a long moment, before he races off in the direction of the palace, taking my breath with him. I decide to believe this is a good omen, and at least at first it seems to be. Classes aren't too bad. Nogel, our instructor, is a kind but odd old Firdarik from up north, with huge eyebrows, a long beard into which he occasionally shoves pens or scraps of paper, and a tendency to maunder on about meteor storms and their meanings. As afternoon turns to evening, he has us counting falling stars, which is a dull but relaxing task. I lie back on my blanket and stare up at the night sky. The only downside is that it is hard for me to note down numbers in the dark. Usually, glowing orbs hang from the trees or large concentrations or fireflies like our lessons. I carry extra stubs of candles for when even that is too dim, since human eyesight isn't nearly as keen as theirs, but I am not allowed to light them when we study the stars. I try to write legibly and not get ink all over my fingers. Remember, Nogel says, unusual celestial events often presage important political changes, so with a new king on the horizon, it's important for us to observe the signs carefully. Some giggling rises out of the darkness. Nicasia, our instructor says, is there some difficulty? Her haughty voice is unrepentant. None at all. Now, what can you tell me about falling stars? What would be the meaning of a shower of them in the last hour of a night? A dozen birds, Nicasia says, which is wrong enough to make me wince. That's, I say under my breath. Nogel hears me, unfortunately. Very good, youth. I am glad someone has been paying attention. Now, who would like to tell me when those deaths are most likely to occur? There is no point in my holding back, not when I made a declaration that I was going to same Cardan with my greatness. I better start being great. It depends on which of the constellations they pass through and in which direction the star falls, I say. Halfway through answering, I feel like my throat is going to close up. I am suddenly glad of the dark, so I don't have to see Cardan's expression, or Nicasia's. Excellent, Nogel says, which is why our notes must be thorough. Continue. This is dull, I hear Valerian draw. Prophecies for hags and small folk. We should be learning things of a more noble mien. If I am going to pass a night on my back, then I'd wish to be lessoned in love. Some of the others laugh. Very well, said Nogel. Tell me what even might portend success in love. A girl taking off her dress, he says to more laughter. Elga? Nogel calls on a girl with silver hair and a laugh like shattering glass. Can you answer for him? Perhaps he's had such little success in love that he truly doesn't know. She begins to stammer. I suspect she knows the answer, but doesn't want to court Valerian's sire. Shall I ask you again? Nogel asks tartly. Or perhaps Cardan. Why don't you tell us? No, he says. What was that? Nogel asks. When Cardan speaks, his voice rings with sinister authority. It is as Valerian says. This lesson is boring. You will light the lamps and begin another, more worthy one. Nogel pauses for a long moment. Yes, my prince, he finally says, and all the globes around us flare to life. I blink several times as my eyes try to adjust. I wonder if Cardan has ever had to do anything he didn't want to. I guess it is no surprise that he drowses during lectures. No surprise that he once drunk as anything, rode a horse across the grass while we were having classes, trampling blankets and books and sending everyone scrambling to get out of his way. He can change our curriculum on a whim. How can anything matter to someone like that? Her eyesight is so poor, Nicasia says, and I realize she's standing over me. She has my notebook and waves it around so everyone can see my scrolls. Poor youth. It's so hard to overcome so many disadvantages. There's ink all over my fingers and on the golden cuffs on my dress. Across the grove, Cardan is talking with Valerian. Only Locke is watching us. His expression troubled. Nogel is flipping through a stack of thick, dusty books, probably trying to come up with a lesson that Cardan will like. Sorry if you can read my handwriting, I say, grabbing the notebook. The page tears, leaving most of my night's work shredded, but that's not exactly my disadvantage. Nicasia slaps me in the face. I stumble, shocked, suddenly down on one knee, barely catching myself before I go sprawling. My cheek is hot, stinging. My head rings. You can't do that, I say to her nonsensically. I thought I understood how this game worked. I thought wrong. I may do whatever I wish, she informs me, still haughty. Our classmates stare. Elga has one delicate hand over her mouth. Cardan looks over, and I can tell from his expression that she has failed to please me. Embarrassment starts to creep over Nicasia's face. For as long as I have been among them, there were lines they didn't cross. When they shoved us into the river, no one witnessed it. For better or worse, I am part of the general's household and under Maddox's protection. Cardan might dare to cross him, but I thought the others would at least strike in secret. I seem to have angered Nicasia, past caring about any of that. I brush myself off. Are you calling me out? Because then it's my right to choose the time and the weapon. How I would love to knock her down. She realizes that my question actually demands a response. I might be lowered on the ground, but that doesn't absolve her from obligations to her own honor. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Cardan coming toward us. Jittery anticipation commingles with dread. On my other side, Valerian bumps my shoulder. I take a step away from him, but not fast enough to avoid being assailed with the smell of overripe fruit. Above us, in the black dome of night, 7 stars fall, streaking gloriously across the sky before guttering out. I look up automatically, too late to have seen their precise path. Did anyone know the town? Nogel begins shouting, fumbling in his bird for a pen. This is the celestial event we've been waiting for. Someone must have seen the exact origin point. Quickly, set down everything you can remember. Just then, as I am looking at the stars, Valerian soaps something soft against my mouth. An apple, sweet and rotten at the same time. Honeyed juice running over my tongue, tasting of sunlight and pure, heady, stupid joy. Fiery fruit, which muddles the mind, which makes humans crave it enough to starve themselves for another taste, which make us pliant and suggestible and ridiculous. Dane's yeast protected me from enchantment, from anyone's control, but fiery fruit puts you out of even your own control. Oh no, oh no, 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 no. I spit it out. The apple rolls in the dirt, but I can already feel it working on me. Salt, I think, fumbling for my basket. Salt is what I need. Salt is the antidote. It will clear the fog in my head. Nicasia sees what I am going for and snatches up my basket, dancing out of the way, while Valerian pushes me to the ground. I try to crawl away from him, but he pins me, shoving the filthy apple back into my face. Let me sweeten that sour tongue of yours, he says, pressing it down. Pulping is in my mouth and up my nose. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. My eyes are open, staring up at Valerian's face. I'm choking. He's watching me with an expression of mild curiosity, as though he's looking forward to seeing what happens next. Darkness is creeping in at the edges of my vision. I am choking to death. The worst part is the joy blooming inside me from the fruit, blotting out of the terror. Everything is beautiful. My vision is swimming. I reach up to claw at Valerian's face, but I am too dizzy to reach him. A moment later, it doesn't matter. I don't want to hurt him. Not when I am so happy. Do something, someone says, but in my delirium, I can tell who's speaking. Abruptly, Valerian is kicked off me. I roll onto my side, coughing. Cardan is looming there. Tears and snot are running down my face, but all I can do is lie in the dirt and spit out pieces of sweet, fleshy pulp. I have no idea why I'm crying. Enough, Cardan says. He has an odd, wild expression on his face, and a muscle is jumping in his jaw. I start to laugh. Valerian looks mutinous. Ruin my fun, will you? For a moment, I think they're going to fight, although I cannot think why. Then I see what Cardan's got in his hand. The salt from my basket. The antidote. Why did I want that, I wonder. He tosses it up into the air with a laugh, and I watch it scatter with the wind. Then he looks at Valerian, mouth curling. What's wrong with you, Valerian? If she dies, your little prank is over before it begins. I'm not going to die, I say, because I don't want them to worry. I feel fine. I feel better than I have ever felt in my entire life. I'm glad the antidote is gone. Prince Cardan? Nogel says. She ought to be taken home. Everyone is so dull today, Cardan says, but he doesn't sound as if he's bored. He sounds as if he's barely keeping his temper in check. Oh, Nogel! She doesn't wish to go. Nicasia comes over to me and strokes my cheek. Do you, pretty thing? The cloying taste of honey is in my mouth. I feel light. I am unwinding. I am unfurling like a banner. I'd like to stay, I say, because here is wondrous, because she's dazzling. I'm not sure I feel good, but I know I feel great. Everything is wondrous, even Cardan. I didn't like him before, but that seems silly. I give him a wide, happy grin, although he doesn't smile in return. I don't take it personally. Nogel turns away from us, muttering something about the general and foolishness and princes getting their heads removed from their shoulders. Cardan watches him go, hands feasting at his sides. A knot of girls flop down in the moss beside me. They're laughing, which makes me laugh again too. I've never seen a mortal take the fruit of Elfham before, one of them, Flower, says to another. Will she remember this? Would that someone would enchant her to do otherwise? Locke says from somewhere behind me, but he doesn't sound angry like Cardan. He sounds nice. I turn toward him, and he touches my shoulder. I lean into the warmth of his skin. Nicasia laughs. She wouldn't want that. What's it like is another bite of apple. My mouth waters at the memory. I recall them strewn across my path, golden and glittering, on the way to school, and cures my foolishness for not stopping to eat my fill. So we can ask her things? Another girl, Morakna, wants to know. Embarrassing things? And she'll answer? Why should she find anything embarrassing when she's among friends? Says Nicasia, eyes slitted. She looks like a cat that has eaten all the cream and is ready for a nap in the sun. Which one of us would you most like to kiss? Flower demands, coming closer. She's barely spoken to me before. I'm glad she wants to be friends. I'd like to kiss all of you, I say, which makes them scream with laughter. I grin up at the stars. You're wearing too many clothes, Nicasia says, frowning at my skirts. And they've grown dirty. You should take them off. My dress does seem abruptly heavy. I imagine myself naked in the moonlight, my skin turned as silvery as the leaves above us. I stand. Everything feels as if it's going a bit sideways. I start pulling off my clothes. You're right, I say delighted. My gown slides into a puddle of cloth that I can easily step out of. I am wearing mortal underclothes, a mint and black polka-dotted bra and underpants. They're all staring at me oddly, as though wondering where I got my underwear. All of them so resplendent that it is difficult for me to look too long without my head hurting. I am conscious of the softness of my body, of the calluses on my hands, and of the sway of my breasts. I am conscious of the soft tickle of grass underneath my feet and the warm earth. Am I beautiful like you are? I ask Nicasia, genuinely curious. No, she says, darting a look toward Valerian. She picks up something from the ground. You are nothing like us. I am sorry to hear it, but not surprised. Beside them, anyone might as well be a shadow, a blurry reflection of a reflection. Valerian points to the rowan necklace that dangles around my throat, dried red berries threaded onto a long silver chain. You should take that off too. I nod conspiratorially. You're right, I say. I don't need it anymore. Nicasia smiles, holding up the golden thing she has in her hand, the filthy masked remains of the apple. Come lick my hands clean. You don't mind, do you? But you have to do it on your knees. Gasping and tittering spread through our classmates like a breeze. They want me to do it. I want to make them happy. I want everyone to be as happy as I am. And I do want another taste of the fruit. I begin to crawl toward Nicasia. No, Cardan says, stepping in front of me, his voice ringing and a little unsteady. The others back off, giving him room. He toes off his soft leather shoe and puts one pale foot directly in front of me. Youth will come here and kiss my foot. She said she wanted to kiss us. I am her prince, after all. I laugh again. Honestly, I don't know why I laughed so infrequently before. Everything is marvelous and ridiculous. Looking up at Cardan, though, something strikes me wrong. His eyes are glittering with fury and desire and maybe even shame. A moment later, he blinks, and it's just his usual chilly arrogance. Well, be quick about it, he says impatiently. Kiss my foot and tell me how great I am. Tell me how much you admire me. Enough, Locke says sharply to Cardan. He's got his hands on my shoulders and is pulling me roughly to my feet. I'm taking her home. Are you? Now? Cardan asks him, eyebrows raised. Interesting timing. You like the savor of a little humiliation, just not too much? I hate it when you get like this, Locke says under his breath. Cardan pulls a pin from his coat, a glittering filigree thing in the shape of an acorn with an oak leaf behind it. For a delirious moment, I think he's going to give it to Locke in exchange for leaving me there. That seems impossible, even to my wild mind. Then Cardan takes hold of my hand, which seems even less possible. His fingers are overwarm against my skin. He stabs the point of his pin into my thumb. Ow! I say, pulling away from him and putting the injured digit into my mouth. My own blood is metallic against my tongue. Have a nice walk home, he tells me. Locke guides me away, stopping to grab up someone's blanket, which he wraps around my shoulders. Fairies are staring at us as we pass out of the grove, me stumbling, him holding me up. The few teachers I see do not meet my gaze. I suck on my injured thumb, feeling odd. My head is still swimming, but not like it was. Something's wrong. Moment later, I realize what. There's salt in my human blood. My stomach lurches. I look back at Cardan, who is laughing with Valerian and Nicasia. Moragna is on his arm. Another of our lecturers, a sinewy elf woman from an island to the east, is trying to begin her talk. I hate them. I hate them all so much. For a moment, there is only that, the heat of my fury turning my every thought to us. With shaking hands, I clutch the blanket more tightly around my shoulders and let Locke lead me into the woods. I owe you a debt, I grit out after we walk for a little while, for getting me out of there. He gives me an appraising look. I am struck all over again by how handsome he is, by the soft curls falling around his face. It's awful to be alone with him, knowing he's seen me in my underwear and crawling around on the ground, but I am too angry for embarrassment. He shakes his head. You don't owe anyone anything, Jude, especially not today. How can you stand them? I ask, fury making me turn on Locke, even though he's the only one I'm not mad at. They're horrible, they're monsters. He doesn't answer me. He walks along, and when I come to the patch of windfall apples, I kick one so hard it ricochets off the trunk of an elm tree. There is a pleasure in being with them, he says, taking what we wish, indulging in every terrible thought. There's safety in being awful. Because at least they're not terrible to you? I ask. Again he does not answer. When we get close to Maddox State, I stop. I should go alone from here. I give him a smile that probably wavers a little bit. It's hard to keep it on my face. Wait, he says, taking a step toward me. I want to see you again. I groan, too exasperated for surprise. I am standing here in a borrowed blanket, boots, and mole-bot underwear. I am smeared in soil, and I have just made a fool of myself. Why? He looks at me as though he sees something else entirely. There's an intensity in his gaze that makes me stand up a little straighter despite the dirt. Because you're like a story that hasn't happened yet. Because I want to see what you will do. I want to be part of the unfolding of the tale. I'm not sure if that's a compliment or not, but I guess I take it. He lifts my hand, the same one Cardan stabbed with the pin, and kisses the very tips of my fingers. Until tomorrow, he says, making a bow. And so, in that borrowed blanket, boots, and mole-bot underwear, I walk on by myself, heading for home. Tell me who did this, Maddox insists, over and over again, but I won't. He stomps around, explaining in detail how he will find the fairies responsible and destroy them. He will rip out their hearts, he will cut off their heads and mount them on the roof of our house as a warning to others. I know it's not me he's threatening, but it's still me he's yelling at. When I am scared, I can't forget that no matter how well he plays the role of father, he will always and forever also be my father's murderer. I don't say anything. I think about how Oriana was afraid that Tarin or I would misbehave at the court and cause Maddox embarrassment. Now I wonder if she was more worried about how he'd react if something did happen. Cutting off Valerian's and Nicasia's heads is bad politics. Hurting Cardan amounts to treason. I did it to myself, I say finally to make him stop. I saw the fruit and it looked good, so I ate it. How could you be so foolish? Oriana says, whirling around. She doesn't look surprised. She looks as though I am confirming her worst suspicions. Youth, you know better. I wanted to have fun. It's supposed to be fun, I tell her, playing the disobedient daughter for all it's worth. And it was. It was like a beautiful dream. Be quiet, Maddox shouts, shocking us both in silence. Both of you. Quiet! I cringe involuntarily. Youth, stop trying to annoy Oriana, he says, giving me an exasperated look I am not sure he's ever given me before, but has turned it on Vivi plenty. He knows I'm lying. And Oriana, don't be so gullible. When she realizes what he means, a small delicate hand comes up to cover her mouth. When I find out whom you're protecting, he tells me, they will be sorry they ever drew breath. This is not helping, I say, leaning back in my chair. He kneels down in front of me and takes my hand in his rough green fingers. He must be able to feel how I am trembling. He lets out a long sigh, probably discarding more threats. Then, tell me what will help, youth. Tell me, and I will do it. I wonder what would happen if I say the words, Nicasia humiliated me. Valerian tried to murder me. They did it to impress Prince Cardan, who hates me. I am scared of them. I am more scared of them than I am of you, and you terrify me. Make them stop. Make them leave me alone. But I won't. Maddox's anger is fathomless. I have seen it in my mother's blood on the kitchen floor. Once summoned, it cannot be called back. What if he murdered Cardan? What if he killed them all? His answer to so many problems is bloodshed. If they were dead, their parents would demand satisfaction. The wrath of the High King would fall on him. I would be worse off than I am now, and Maddox would likely be dead. Teach me more, I say instead. More strategy, more blade work. Teach me everything you know. Prince Dane may want me for a spy, but that doesn't mean giving up my sword. Maddox looks impressed, and Oriana annoyed. I can tell she thinks that I am manipulating him and that I am doing a good job of it. Very well, he says with a sigh. Tatterfair will bring you dinner, unless you feel up to joining us at the dining table. We will begin a more intensive training tomorrow. I lead upstairs, I say, and head to my room, still wrapped in someone else's blanket. On the way, I pass Tarin's closed door. Part of me wants to go in, fling myself on her bed, and weep. I want her to hold me and tell me that there wasn't anything I could have done differently. I want her to tell me that I am brave and that she loves me. But since I am sure that's not what she'd do, I pass her doorway. My room has been tidied while I was gone, my bed made and my windows open to let in the night air, and there on the foot of my bed is a folded up dress of homespun with the royal crest that servants of the princes and princesses wore. Sitting on the balcony is the owl-faced hawk. It prints a bit, ruffling its feathers. You, I say, you're one of his. Go to Hollow Hall tomorrow, sweet mate, it chirps, cutting me off. Find us a secret the king won't like. Find treason. Hollow Hall, that's the home of Balekin, the eldest prince. I have my first assignment from the Court of Shadows.